Hello everyone, and welcome to this little demonstration where I will show you how I made this corset top. And if you haven't checked out my previous videos about how to make your own personal patterns, do so and check out my description below where there's a link to a size chart that you can download for free and get started. So the corset top is based on the dress pattern that I have adjusted to a corset. So the corset consists of 4 pieces. I decided to have the upper line 8 to 10 centimeters on top of the bust point and decided to have it asymmetric, so it has the same length as the front all over, and it goes down here on the back. So I needed to adjust the lower edge to that, like this, continuing like that. And as I said, it consists of 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. That means the finished corset consists of 7 pieces. So if you want to make this corset, you can take a look at my previous videos about the dress pattern and the corset pattern, where I offer different ways of constructing it. So what I did here, I copied out the different pieces like this. Afterwards, I adjusted the lower seam line by putting the patterns together, like shown in a previous video, and I added seam allowance on every piece except for the mid front that is going on the folded fabric line. Next, I'm going to show you all the steps that I went through to have a corset like this. The preparation of the pieces that I cut out. I am reinforcing the fabric because it was very loosely woven. So I put an extra layer behind and pinned them together and masked them before I overlock all the pieces, so they are ready to be sewn together. Here you can see the fabric from the back side, how loosely woven it was. So it needed some reinforcement. So one of the smaller details when you sew the seams of a corset top like I have here is to be aware where the seam is starting. And in this case, it's 1.5 centimeters wide. So you need to align it where you are going to sew, which means one of the seams might go a bit higher at the edge than the other. Maybe it's easier to show you here with the pattern. You have the two pattern pieces mid-front here, and the next piece of pattern, it's going to be aligned at the bust point, but at the top you need to be aware that there is a difference when you put the fabric together. It's easier to illustrate here on the pattern. You see there's a small triangle on top. You don't align it at the edge, you align it where you're going to sew. So look at this point where the seam allowance is. Let me show you how you sew two pieces of fabric together that looks like this. They're not even, so you need to align them at the waist and at the bust point. So on the fabric, I mark the bust point with a pin on one piece and on the other piece, and then I put them together exactly on top of each other. And I make sure that the curve of one of the pattern pieces is evenly aligned, so there's the same amount of, well, it's quite difficult to show you like this. You can't focus on the camera, you have to focus on the pieces, and it's opposite yourself. So you have on each side of the bust point an evenly amount of the fabric. Let me put it together so it's easier to see. I pin it on each side of the bust point. Like this. So there's space, and then I align it at the top. And I fold it over to distribute the curved side to the straight side, like that. so it's easier to get it even. I put a pin in the middle and distribute the rest on each side of that pin. So that's the upper part secured. Then I need to align it at the bottom where I'm going to sew. I don't know if you can see it like that, but and then I again stretch out the seam and try to align them. By folding it slightly over my hand. Like this. So it's ready to sew. I did the other side already. So it looks like this. It looks like this. And often when you are new to sewing, you have a tendency to look where the needle is going up and down. But what you have to do is actually follow the markings here on the side, and you will have a straight seam. So don't focus on the needle, just follow the line here. All the way. So this is how the front piece looks like for now. Next step is to remove all the basting stitches and to iron the seams carefully without leaving any marks. And next step is to sew the back pieces together and assemble the side seam at the end. So this is how the corset look like when all the pieces are joined together. And it's especially important that you, like I said before, sew where the seam allowance is. As you can see here, there's some excess on the seam because I sewed 1.5 centimeter inside. And it's especially important because this corset is asymmetric. It's the same length all over, but it goes down in the back. So pay attention to the seam allowance when you sew. Otherwise it will look very crooked if you don't do that. So now I have to remove all the basting stitches and iron all the seams apart. I haven't decided yet if it's a separate corset or part of a dress, which means I would need to add a skirt. But let's see how it goes. Check out my previous videos on how to construct the corset and how to align all the seam lines according to your design. So after ironing all the seams in this corset and removing the stitches from the basting, I am putting in a temporarily zipper for the fitting. I basted it on the back side, and now I'm going to stitch it with long stitches on my sewing machine for the fitting. So that's the next step. I'm moving the needle to one side to get as close to the zipper as possible. On the other side. Tuck. So next step, after I sewed the zipper in, I'm going to remove the white basting stitches. I'm going to reopen mid back with this. Carefully, I sewed the mid back with long stitches as well as the zipper. So it's easy to remove again if I need to replace it with something else. So I very carefully undo the stitches here from the front. Slowly, and I kind of stretch it a little bit, and then I go like this all the way up. The zipper is longer than the corset because otherwise I would not be able to fit it. And remember, this is only temporarily, so it will be replaced with something else after I made the adjustments. So now it's ready to try on. So this is how it looks like. There will be some minor adjustments if I want to make it fit to this mannequin, unless there's somebody who would like to own it. As you can see, the asymmetric cut follows the upper line, so it's the same length all the way. That's it for today. A little demonstration. Hope you liked it, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.